bow, and then right immediately afterwards had the Valentine's Day. So I know some people are probably glad they're over. I don't know what's going on with my internet. It looks like we're here, though. Okay. Goodness. Hey, Catherine, how are you? And there's Liz and Vince. How are you guys today? Did you have a good weekend? Let me see if we have anybody on YouTube yet. I don't see anyone. Okay, YouTubers, as you join in, let me know you're there. But I had originally, we do, make bows by hand. We do the Pro Bow. I do the Easy Bow Maker, and actually I was thinking to do the handmade bow today, but in the meantime I realized I've got a bow I have to make on the Easy Bow Maker, and I thought, well, I've got to pack it up anyway, so why don't we just make that bow. I'll show you what I do from start to finish as far as getting the order and then the bow getting outside the doors here and shipped on the way. So I just thought that might be fun, something a little bit different. And I still get a bunch of questions, weekly, about shipping bows. So I thought maybe we'll do that. Hey, Jamie, how are you? So anyway, the bow that I need to make, it's actually a watermelon-themed bow, and it's going to have some tails. And as I said, I need to do it on the Easy Bow Maker, and depending on what style of bow I'm making and whether I'm making it to sell or not will dictate whether I make it by hand or use the Easy Bow or use the Pro Bow. And this particular style of bow, I prefer it. To me, and I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into it or something, but to me, it's a little bit more of a casual style. And if I'm making it for sale and I have posted exact measurements on my Etsy shop, then I need to be sure that I have that whenever I make the bow. I have the exact measurements. And when I make them by hand, there's always a lot of play that can be there. Now, if I was making this bow and I knew I was going to put it in a wreath, I'd probably make it by hand. And then sometimes, to me, a Pro Bow makes a little bit more formal of a bow, and there's less ability to have any play with your ribbon and your size of your bow loops with the Pro Bow versus the Easy Bow. So, hey Sharon, how are you? Hey Sue, how are you getting along? Bet you're getting ready for your craft fair. I know Sue, she's got a big craft fair coming up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, as I said, it's going to be a watermelon-themed bow, and really the only theme bow or themed ribbon I have is this. The rest of it is just a regular bow can't talk today. It's regular ribbon that you could use in any style wreath. You could use this for patriotic. You could use it for, Valentine's, whatever. But we're gonna, and actually on this recipe too, usually I have more than one 2.5-inch ribbon, but this one I'm just going to have one 2.5-inch ribbon. So let me go ahead. I'm going to drop you guys down. Close your eyes if this kind of thing bothers you. That movement bothers you. You can see the YouTubers over here on my laptop. So, hey Anna. So if you're not familiar, this is the Easy Bow Maker. I feel like I need to hang on, I'm going to bring this back up a little bit more. If I didn't have you sick, I probably do have it by now. I feel like I was too far back. There we go. So anyway, this is the Easy Bow Maker, and you can see it's just a board. It has measurements on either side of these pegs right here. This is where we're going to make our bow. This is just where we're going to hold the ribbon. This little peg here, I always mention that because I get a lot of questions about it. This is for teeny tiny bows, like a baby's bow or something like that you'd put in their hair. I don't know though, some babies' bows are pretty doggone big nowadays, but you know what I mean, just a little tiny bow. But this is, I have never used this. This is where we're going to make our bow. And as I said, this has measurements on it. From where the measurements are, it's about 16 inches to the end of the board. It's about 20 inches. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and try and get this in the middle of the screen. We're going to zoom in. Tell you what, on days that the technology doesn't want to cooperate, I always feel like it takes me a minute to get in my groove. I kind of get sidetracked a little bit, and then it's hard to find my words. You guys have any problems like that? But I don't know what it is about the cable. It seems like every month the cable bill goes up, but maybe the quality of the service doesn't quite match that. All right, now, as I said, we're going to have a 2.5 inch bow or 2.5 inch ribbon for the bottom layer. On the Easy Bow Maker, we're going to make this bow from the bottom up. So that's opposite of what we do with the Pro Bow. The Pro Bow, we work it from the top down. But as I said, I'm going to have 2.5 inch ribbon on the bottom. This is a single-sided ribbon. So it does make a difference on how we lay this in the maker. I like to put the ribbon on the spool with the ribbon going off and away from me. It keeps it out of the way and just a little bit easier to manage that way, but it's not a deal breaker if you don't. It's just going to be a little bit more cumbersome. All right, now this particular bow, it needs to have about 14 inch tails. And as I said, I've got marks down here. This is 8 inches all the way over to here. So I'm going to measure 8 and then come over here to 6. So that's a 14 inch tail right there. Now I'm going to keep my finger here because this is going to be the center of the bow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get me plenty of ribbon off. I'm going to make sure that I've got the good side of the ribbon facing away from me. I'm going to put this down vertically and I'm going to twist it. Okay. And when we twist it, that just allows so that when I bring the ribbon back around, that the right side of the ribbon is facing correctly. If I didn't twist it, we would have the back side. Okay? All right, so I've got my tail down here. I'm going to go ahead and dovetail it while I'm at it. To dovetail it, I'm just folding the two edges together. So this is the folded edge, this is the wired edge. And I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to cut at an angle. So when I open up the ribbon, I've got a nice V shape. Some people call this fishtailing. It's the same thing. It just puts a little bit more of a finished edge on the ribbon. All right, now I'm going to keep this down here out of the way. All right, now this particular bow, let me look here. I think we need to make about a 6 inch loop, or hang on, let me look here. All right, I need to make about a 5 inch loop. So I'm going to bring this ribbon over here. I'm going to put my thumb on the inside of the ribbon about where 5 inches is. I'm going to take my ribbon back down vertically, good sides facing away. I'm going to come over here, make sure I'm staying about 5 inches. Does not have to be perfect. Just go ahead, and if you're uncomfortable working with the bows, just go ahead and just go through the motions. You can refine your technique later. All right, so we're going to twist it, we're going to push it down. Again, we want that good side of the ribbon facing upward. All right, let's make another loop over here. Same thing, I'm going to put my thumb about at 5 inches. I've got this thumb here marking where I need to put this down through those pegs. Bring it down vertically. Twist it. Push it down. Now we're going to make 3 loops on either side with this ribbon. We're just going to keep repeating the process. Now I don't need to come down here with my thumb anymore. I can just look at this other loop and compare, make sure I've got about the same size bow. All right, we're going to twist, push it down. Make sure you're pushing that down every time you go to the center. But you want a nice tight bow center. All right, let's come back over here, measuring about 5 inches. Go down vertically, good side's going away. Twist, and push it down. Right? One more time on both sides. Again, I'm just going to compare it here to the previous bow loop. Twist, push it down. Now, this is the last bow loop that I'm going to make with this ribbon. And you can see, just with it curling over on itself, the good side is already showing, so I do not need to twist it this time. I want my tail to have the good side showing, right? Now, come down here, compare it with the other loops. I've got my thumb here. I'm going to pinch it, just like that. Push that down. I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to get my tail about the same length as my other one, just like this. Trim that off. Now we're going to go ahead and dovetail again. Fold those two halves together, cut at an angle. Okay, now we'll just spread these out, and it sounds silly, but to me the ribbon kind of talks to you and tells you which way it wants to go. So just however those bow loops look comfortable, that's where you want to put them. And while you're doing this, you know, spreading these out, you want to fluff them up, and you're wanting to look, does it look like all the loops are reasonably the same length? That's one thing, as I said, with the easy bow, it's easy to get some of your bow loops a little bit loose, or not loose, but a little bit off, because these are loose. You can see as I put the ribbon down, these kind of splay down or splay apart. Even though I've hammered them, they're glued, all that. I guess the new easy bow makers, I think they must have listened to the feedback on everybody, but I guess they're really tight. So, hey Sandra and Ruth, thank you guys for being here. All right, so let's get this off of here. And in case you're new here, I wanted to let you know, after I get done making the bow, I always come back and I look for any questions. I usually don't stop and look for questions while I'm doing the bow, because then I get all messed up, throws off my juju, and then I get all confused where I'm at. So I'll come back. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments. If somebody else knows the answer, then by all means you can answer, but I'll come back after I get this bow made, and then we'll get you some answers. All right, now the next ribbon I need, we're going to make 2 loops on either side out of this. It's a 1.5 inch. I call it lime green. It's listed as fresh green. It's really pretty. Nice and watermelon looking. All right, we're going to go ahead and dovetail this. And each time I'm making a tail now, I'm comparing it to the ribbon I had before. And I'm going to make them gradually a little bit shorter. So I'm measuring my tail. I've got my thumb up here. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down vertically, twist it. Pull that down. Now, you saw me go back up there. You want to make sure that your edges are under, you know, curled under, not flipped up the other way. That way your ribbon's going to hang a lot prettier. If you miss it here, you can always fix it later, but you know, once you see it, go ahead and fix it. Now, on this one, I'm going to come in a little bit shorter. I'm going to go about 4.5 inches. And I've got my easy bow maker. I lined it up with my grid here on my cutting mat. And because now I can't really see where 4.5 inches are. So I'm looking down here on my mat to see where 4.5 inches is. And so that's going to be about right there. Slide my ribbon down. Again, we're following the same pattern. Come over here. I slipped my thing there. Let's put it back. So about 4.5. Looks good. Push it down. It looks off. It is. It looks off because it is. I was a little bit short on that side. All right, let's push that down. Come over here. Again, I'm going to use the same loop before as my comparison. I'm going to twist it. And you'll notice now I'm having to put my finger down here to hold the ribbon in place. And like I said, if you've got a newer maker, it might not be like that, but mine is worn out. It's been rode hard and put up wet, as we used to say at the horse shows. And I just saw one I didn't turn all the way, so I'm trying to fix that now. There we go. Spread those out. Come down here, we'll cut our tails again, about the same length as the other one. Dovetail it. Okay. Now, the next ribbon I'm going to be using is this Swiss dot. I love Swiss dot ribbon. If I could, I'd have a 50-yard roll of every one of them, but I don't. I just think they're just really pretty, and they add a little bit of movement, I think, to your bow, and they're just, you know, they can read as a solid, but they also add a little bit of interest to your bow. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing. Come down here to my tail, compare, but a little bit shorter. All right, I've got my thumb up here. I'm going to twist, push it down. Now this one, I am going to put just one loop on either side. Let me double check to make sure I'm doing it right. Like I said, this is an ordered rib or bow, so I need to make it just how they ordered it. Yes, okay. Picture's kind of small, so it's hard to see. All right, now I'm going to come in here. We did 5. We did 4.5. Now this one I want about 4 inches. And I'm just going to put one loop on either side. I want it to hit right in between these 2 loops that I've got right here. And so here's 4, right about there. Push it down. Come over here. I'm going to find 4. See, there's 5, 4. And I'm going to pinch it because I don't need to twist it this time because it's the last one. Push it down. Okay, I'm just looking to make sure they look even because I couldn't see that very well over on that side. All right, compare our tails, trim it, dovetail it. Okay. Now the next ribbon, we're going to do the watermelon ribbon. And this one we're going to make, oh, I hope I got another, no, yeah, I do. This one I'm going to make 2 loops on either side. And I put that red there in between, like I said, to highlight the green on both below, and I'm going to do it on top again too. All right, let's go ahead and dovetail this. Again, we're going to make it a little bit shorter. The tail's going to be a little bit shorter than the one before. I've got my thumb up here, good side away, twist it, push it down. And this one, let's see, we were 5, 4.5, 4, so this is going to be about 3.5 inches. We're getting a lot of ribbon in this holder here. All right, let's see. So there's 5, 4, so 3.5 is about right here. We're going to twist it. And when I've got a patterned ribbon like this, I do like to have it up toward the front so it can be appreciated. If I had it back there where this Swiss dot was, you wouldn't really be able to see it that well by the time I got done. All right, so we're 5, 4, 4.5. And like I said, at this point it gets a little difficult because you're holding down with one hand, trying to keep your ribbon all the same length, and at the same time trying to pull your ribbon over. Might be time for me to get a new holder, right? All right, I'll come over here, compare. We're going to pinch and place it down. And every time I've got my tail, I'm pulling it down here, and that's going to help it to hang correctly. The tails, that is. All right, so let's compare, trim this, dovetail. All right, now we'll spread these out and see what I was talking about, the red, kind of highlighting both of these green ribbons. And then we're going to finish it off with a red in the center. Just a small loop on either side, one loop. Trying to get everything turned the right way. There we go. Seems early to be making summer stuff, but I tell you what, they've been moving. I don't know, shoppers just seem to be shopping a lot earlier this year. All right, again, shorter. I'm going to twist, push it down. This one's going to be about 3 inches on either side. Okay, I'm looking here. So that's about here. We're going to twist, push it down. Find my 3, pinch. So like I said, we're just doing one loop on either side. All right, we made it. A lot of ribbon in there, like I said. Dovetail these. Okay, now, got our bow made. So now we've got to get it off of this board. And to do that, I've got a zip tie. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the zip tie, I'm going to slide it underneath all this ribbon, and I'm going to put it crossways, like on diagonal through these pegs here. And that helps me get it right exactly in the middle. Now, zip ties, they have a little notch here. I don't know if you can see it. Has a little notch there. You want to make sure that's down toward the foot, pointing down toward my foot, okay? All right, let's slide this up a little bit now. Make sure you got all your ribbon as you're bringing this up. I'm saying that because I know I've left ribbon on the board before, and then you got to start over. All right, so I've got my zip tie. I'm going to put that through there diagonally underneath all this ribbon. Bring it up and over. I'm going to tighten it, but I'm not going to cinch it down all the way. All right, now I'm going to raise that up. Okay, I'm going to cinch it just to where it's a little bit snug on the ribbon, but I still can maneuver it. Now I'm going to get all my tails going the right way. As we can move this ribbon around now pretty freely. When we get that zip tie all cinched down, it's going to be much more difficult. I'm starting at the bottom of my bow, and I'm fluffing out all these bow loops, making sure everything's the way I want it. And I just work my way upward. I'm making sure this red is between the 2 greens. Just go up a layer at a time. Sometimes you might see one that's a little bit off lengthwise, so now's the time to fix it. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this red right in the center. All right, now I'm happy with that. I'm going to turn it over. And the person that's going to have this bow, they need some way to connect this to, whether it's a wreath, a lantern, a banister, a light fixture. So I'm going to put a pipe cleaner here. I generally use brown pipe cleaners. That way, if they're using it on a grapevine, it's going to tie in there a little bit easier to hide. Maybe make your mechanics a little less noticeable. So I'm just going to slide that under my zip tie, like that. Now I'm going to cinch this all the way down. And I usually use my needle nose pliers so I can get a good grip on it. And then we're going to clip this edge off here. Okay. All right, so now we've got our bow made, but we still have that zip tie that's there that is going to be evident, if you can see it. So we're going to take something and cover that. I do have this one. I've got a little bit of this ribbon right here, this watermelon ribbon, that it's not really enough to make a bow loop with, so I'm going to use this. I prefer to use 1.5 inch ribbons to do this. And what we're going to do, we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut this up lengthwise right in half. And I like to try to get about anywhere from 8 to 10 inches. You don't want to get it too short. Okay. So now I've got half of a 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to fold this in half, but I'm going to make it a little bit, well, I'll probably fold it less than half. I want to make sure that that raw edge is underneath where it's not going to be exposed. See what I mean? All right, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to cover that zip tie. Make sure I'm straddling my tails correctly. Don't have one on the wrong side. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to tie this. Usually just tie it in a regular knot. And I probably could have cut it a little bit longer. That's what I was talking about. Don't short yourself because it makes it kind of hard to get it tied this way. All right, now I'm just going to take and trim these off. Okay, so now we have our bow. And see that it looks nice and finished there. Okay, let me back up here. I'm going to see if I have any questions. Oh, Angela, thank you for sending the stars. I really appreciate that. All right, I'm just looking for questions. Hi, Valerie, Julie, Anna, Charlotte. Oh, Sharon, your mom said you couldn't walk and chew bubble gum. That's me. That is me, for sure. Can't do two things at once. I still can't get the Pro Bow maker right. We'll do the Pro Bow next week again, Angela. I love the Pro Bow. It just takes practice over and over. And I mean, it took me 3 whole days to learn it. I'm not exaggerating. But it's like once it clicked, I loved it. All right, let's see. I like the ribbon bow. Oh, Jamie, you're crazy. Cable bill is crazy. Yeah, I know. I know. I even hate, I always get the mail, and I always hate to send the cable bill out for my husband because it seems like every month it's a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, but you're not supposed to notice. All right, now, as I said, I wanted you to see how I do this start to finish, from the bow being made to shipping it out the door. So now we're gonna pack this up. I'm gonna raise you up Close your eyes if this kind of thing bothers you. Let me drop you down just a bit here. There we go. Now, I got a few things here that I need for this, and here it is. I was looking for my awl. Now, most of my bows I'll pack in a 12 by 12 by 6 box. And I just get my boxes from Uline. If you're not buying a whole bunch of them, you can find them on Amazon. I've also bought from Walmart. I probably won't do that again, but you just search it, and you know, 12 by 12 by 6. Now, some of my bows that don't have tails, I might be able to get it into a 10 by 10 by 6. But with that, I can usually ship my bows, as long as I can keep in those 2 boxes, I can usually ship my bows first class between the high $4 to a high $5 cost, just depending on where it's going. And, you know, by the holidays, they usually do increase things anyway. So it was a little bit higher around Christmas time. But actually, I shipped one, I'm trying to think, I shipped one yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before, that was right at like $4.50. So, all right, now I'm going to, like I said, I've got my box all taped already. And when I've got ones with the tails, I need to leave just a little bit more room in the bottom, like the part that's facing me, because I usually just take my bow tails and I wrap them up. Now, if it's big, bulky, like 4-inch designer ribbon, then I wouldn't be able to use this box probably. But that's how I do it. So when I make the holes where I'm going to put my pipe cleaner, I usually go up a little bit higher than middle. I'm going to make them and I'll show you. So you can see they're just a little bit higher than middle. And that way I've got room for my tails down on the bottom part of the box. So now I'm going to take a couple of pipe cleaners. I'm going to twist them together. Now, I don't just twist them around it, or wrap around each other, because they'll come apart. I usually will take my pipe cleaners, I twist them around, and then I'll double them back over the top of each other, and then it's not coming out. It's not going to go anywhere. So I start from the inside of the box, and I'll show you why here in a second, but I put the pipe cleaners through that hole. And I start from the inside of the box so that my knot is on the inside of the box, and when I put some tape over this pipe cleaner, it's a little bit more flush. I used to do it where the knot was on the outside and it was bulky, and then all of a sudden it just occurred to me, well, why don't you do it for the other way so that's a little smoother, because you know they'll send this over those conveyor belts and such, and it'll keep it'd be less likely to get caught on something. So, all right, so I've got that. That's what it looks like on the inside now. And I'm going to take my bow. Let me do a double check on my tails here. I want to make sure that everything looks good. I think we're good. And then I just take it and I want to straddle those pipe cleaners. I'll lay my bow down flush, and I'm going to tighten it down. And I'll show you guys what I'm doing here in a second. All right, so I twist up that's what it looks like so far. I've just tied it right around the center of that bow. And I've tied it to where the bottom is flush down tight with the bottom of the box. And then once I twist it about this far up. And then I clip these guys off. And the reason I do that, I had a lady that for some reason, after 2 times, the post office could not find her house, and I kept getting this bow back. And I used to not cut those things off, but I started doing it after I got that bow back, and I opened the box, and it was not the way I sent it out of here. It looked like those pipe cleaners had beaten it down. And whenever my customer opens the box, I want him to not have to do anything to the bow. I want all the loops to be fluffed in that. And so I think that's the only logical thing, because if it's tight against that bow box, or against that box bottom, it shouldn't be, as long as the ribbon is good quality, it shouldn't be flattening any. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through there, I'm going to fluff out all those bow loops, and I'm going to take these tails and I'm going to curl them all under neatly together. I just go just like we did whenever we made the bow. I just fluff them out one at a time, starting at the bottom, and you might have to go back to the same loop twice or more. Get everything really pretty looking. As I said, I start at the bottom and work my way up to the top. Right now I'm going to take my tails, and as I said, I just take them and put them in my hand like this and just smooth them out, and then I just curl them up underneath each other. And if you've got good quality, nice, good bodied ribbon, this should be fine. But as I said, if you've got big, thick designer ribbon, velvet ribbon, something like that, then I probably wouldn't do it this way. I'd put them, when I do those bows, I put them in a larger box. So this is what I have whenever it's packed up. Okay. Now, before I get done, I've got a business card, I've got the packing sheet, I've put a handwritten thank you on here, I've got an extra shipping label, I've got my QR codes, and all that. And where did I put? And then I've got one of these sleeves that I put that all of this goes in there. So I fold this all up nice and neat. Hey Cheryl, hey Kay, how are you? I see a lot of questions on YouTube. I'll answer those as soon as I get this done here. I can't see them from all the way over here though. I just see a lot of words. All right, and then I just tape this to one of the flaps here and do this. And I've got my shipping label. Fold that up. This might get loud. My tape gun's probably gonna make a lot of noise here. And I put on a lot of tape. I think it helps strengthen the box as well as, of course, keep everything secure. And then go one more time on either end here. Alright, and then I still have that pipe cleaner on the bottom that I need to cover, so I gently fold it over. Compare. It might be different for you, but that's the way my rates are the best. All right, now let me see if I've missed any questions. I see looks like I've had a hiccup on the video there. All right, Jamie is wanting to know, actually, let me bring these closer here. Jamie's wanting to know, what do you mean you tie the ribbon down? I hope that I'm answering the question right. But whenever, if you're talking about when I secure it in the box, I take the pipe cleaner, I wrap it around that center, and I bring it all the way where the bow is flush with the bottom of the box, where it's not sitting up here, you know, flopping back and forth, because it's going to get beat up. I want it flush against the box so it's not going to move. If that doesn't answer your question, let me know, Jamie. But let's see. And how do I list bows for sale? I list mine on Etsy. And if you have a craft booth, though, I used to have a craft booth here in a local mall, and bows were my biggest seller. I never in a million years would have believed it, but somebody told me to put some bows in there, and they sold like hotcakes. Wreaths, not so much, but I sold a bunch of bows. And do I have a recipe for my descriptions? Really, my description's pretty scant on my bows. But you know, they need to know exactly what they're getting. They need to know how wide the bow loops are, how long the bow tail is. I always put in there, you know, how they will be able to connect it to the whatever they're going to use it on. You know, it's secured with a zip tie and a chenille tie to secure it to the final project. But no, I don't have a recipe necessarily. In fact, my bows are one of the things I don't even post very many pictures. You should, but my time is better spent someplace else other than, you know, posting. How many pictures can you take of a bow? But back when I wasn't quite so busy, I would take a bow of it, or I'd take a picture of the bow on a wreath, on a lantern, you know, in various settings, but I don't do that anymore. Oh, yeah, Vanita, that's a good idea with the floral wire, because I know a bunch of you guys were saying that it was too tight now with the newer bow makers, but that's a good idea. We've got a question by Reese by Bella Decor, wants to know, on average, how many inches is my biggest bow loop in my bows? Between 5 and 6 inches most of the times. Now, sometimes I'll put a 6.5 or 7 inch bow loop on, but that's usually on my larger wreaths, and usually it's a 4-inch ribbon that I'm using. Because you got to remember, the larger your bow loop is, the more substantial your ribbon needs to be to hold that loop. Because if it's weak ribbon, it's not, you know, the longer that is, the more floppy your bow loop's going to be. So I would say 5 or 6 inches is usually the average for me. Okay, and she also wanted to know, why do you put an extra shipping label in with your thank you packet? I was told that if the package ever gets lost, or for some reason the label gets torn off, that then at least they'll be able to figure out where the package belongs. So I was told that years and years ago, and it just stuck. So I've always done that with my wreaths and my bows and my ribbon that I sell. Am I freezing? Hey Vicki, how are you? All right, let me see if I missed any more on Facebook here. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, usually I'm showing you new ribbon on Tuesdays, but it won't be here till tomorrow. And I did just a few minutes ago before I went live, I ordered some really delicious D. Stevens ribbon that I'm really excited about. I've been waiting for it to come in stock, and it finally did, and so I ordered some. I can't wait for you to see it. It's really pretty, really pretty. But oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. What size box? That is a 12 by 12 by 6. That's the most common box I use. I also use a 10 by 10 by 6, but it doesn't have tails on it usually. And for my larger bows, then I'll use a larger, you know, just depending on how big the bow is. And Jamie's wanting to know what's my average price for my bows. Well, it just depends. Usually what I do, I get on Etsy and I see what the average is and see where I fall in that place. Now my bows are one of the few things I offer free shipping on, so the shipping is included, and I usually calculate about $5 or $6 for my shipping. Sometimes it's less. I never pay $6 to ship a bow, unless it's a large one, of course. But for my cost of my bows right now, I think I've got them priced on Etsy. I'd have to look to be sure. Depending on if they have tails or not and how many loops are in it, I usually have them between, I would say, $13, $14. Well, $13.97, $14.97 on up to $21 or $23, I believe is the highest I've got right now. But you know, people have different recipes for that. Some people say you need to charge $1 per loop, and then another $1 for every ribbon change. So, for example, that bow, well, we had 3, 5, 6, 8. So we had 9 loops. So that'd be $9, and that's not counting tails. But that'd be $9, and then how many ribbons? So 5 ribbons, so that'd be $14, and then I'd chalk on a little bit for the tail. So yeah, so probably like a $21 to $23, depending on the quality of the ribbon too. All my ribbon that I used was pretty average. I mean, it's good quality ribbon, but it's not designer ribbon. But yeah, so I'd say $21, $23. I don't remember what I sold that one for, but that was, I made that original bow there that was on Etsy back last year. I hadn't made that bow this year yet. Any other questions? All right, I don't see any other questions, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. And I'll see what kind of bows come, or kind of ribbons come in. I got a message yesterday that's a lot of things are back ordered, so I don't know if I have a complete kit to put together to show you, or what's going to be here, but it should be here sometime tomorrow. I don't know if it'd be toward the front of the day or the end of the day, but nevertheless, I'll get it to you as best I can, as soon as I can. And anybody that's in my wreath making group, we're going to have our live Q&A about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I hope the internet is behaving by then. Looks like it's had some hiccups. I'm going to go and restart our router and everything and see if I can get things back up to speed. So thank you guys so much again. And I do have some ribbons for sale on boxmybow.com. And I don't know what all's left. I see some St. Patrick's Day. I know I've got some patriotic and a couple of designer ribbons in there too. So you might check that out if you're interested. But otherwise, I'll be back here making bows next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.